This is a story about government censorship. Right now, it's about Donald Trump's right-wing MAGA government censorship. If he gets away with it, it could break truly very long precedents and be used or abused by others. But right now, it's MAGA censorship, first and foremost. It's now immediately become a scandal for Trump's communications official, Brendan Carr. He's facing calls to investigate what he did here and some calls on the left for his resignation. Others are speaking out against the First Amendment abuses. We have more on that. There's also the question of how these companies responded to an extraordinary exertion of political pressure from powerful Trump officials. As the New York Times put it, Trump aides seizing on what many identify today as a pretext, meaning this isn't the real reason, even if other people are justifiably concerned about these statements, but a pretext of Kimmel's reference to MAGA leaders' initial response to what was that terrible Kirk shooting. And the Federal Communications Commission has been pulled into this in a way we haven't seen before because, again, if you're just tuning in or if aliens were landing on Earth and wondering how we do things in this country, the FCC, as you already know, is not in the comedy review business, nor is it supposed to be in the political and democratic censorship business. So let me get this out of the way. The FCC's actual job is a regulator dealing with communications, promoting competition. That means protecting against, for example, monopolies or one person or company owning too much media in one place. And they deal with regulations for new technologies to flourish alongside diversity and localism. That's diversity of the press, something the Trump administration opposes. They want only their views. And then localism doesn't have to be left or right, just the idea that we care about people getting local coverage in the country. But now under Trump, they have a Project 2025 vet, FCC Chairman Carr, who has a totally different approach. And he is seizing these powers and seeing from the courts and the companies whether he gets away with it. So he went on this MAGA podcast, publicizing a quite literal series of demands. And he pushed Trump's longstanding grudge against Kimmel, calling him kind of a sick project or the work that he does being sick, and then outlining a very specific public plan that ABC should suspend Kimmel, many wondering whether this will probably be a cancellation. It has been covered that way, but initially the demand was suspend Kimmel, or the FCC would make it hard on the company.
You know, when you look at the conduct that has taken place by Jimmy Kimmel, it appears to be some of the sickest conduct possible, a very reasonable, minimal step that can be taken. I mean, obviously, look, there's calls for Kimmel to be fired. I think, you know, you could certainly see a path forward for suspension over this. And again, you know, the FCC is going to have remedies that we could look at.
We have remedies. Be careful. Now, Carr's appearance, that was yesterday daytime. As you know, if you're watching this, by night, they had made the announcement. It set off rushed emergency meetings. Kimmel was going to address this issue and those remarks, and there was apparently a script because he normally has a show. Then at the local level, or that next level down, Nexstar, which is a huge ABC affiliate, they distribute more ABC than any other affiliate, announced it was basically going to preempt Kimmel indefinitely. And top leadership at Disney and ABC felt that bottom-up pressure from them, plus whatever backroom dealings we don't know about, plus Carr going public. And then we got to here. And I just want to slow down for a minute and make sure we understand what we're witnessing. Because when the news first broke last night, it looked bad. In a First Amendment sense, it looked suspicious. But very quickly, you have all of this other evidence. And that spells out a government censorship campaign. And there are people, and maybe there's more people than usual, who say, if it's for their team or their side, anything goes. But that is, of course, the definition of being lawless. And we aspire to more than being lawless in this country. When it comes to free speech, it's the First Amendment for a reason. So what this looks like is an unconstitutional effort from the government to censor and punish speech. And the wider history is that Donald Trump doesn't hide the ball on these things. It's not a secret. He's not mysterious. If this were a case, as I've mentioned in our coverage, it would hurt the administration, it would hurt the Trump administration as the defendant in a free speech case if they've admitted to all this, because then it looks like the government has a grudge, is unconstitutionally political, and then comes up with or brainstorms other later reasons as the pretext. That would be the tough evidence against them. And then you have the fact that everybody knows this. Jimmy Kimmel had emerged, in fact, more so than some Democrats or writers, because of his reach in media and comedy and culture, as a very consistent and some would say effective critic of Donald Trump. And Trump's responding to Kimmel now, not by saying, okay, thanks, glad we got that done. Quite the opposite. Continuing a drumbeat that we've been covering, where when a law firm or a university or a media company gives in to him, he immediately demands more. You have to ask yourself what these executives, including Disney's chief Bob Iger, who we'll get to in a moment, what they think their strategy is. Because immediately after the Kimmel suspension, Trump is publicly demanding other companies oust other hosts, including, full disclosure, our sister channel, NBC, on the entertainment side. And we work with NBC News. We don't do much directly with NBC Entertainment, but he is naming two hosts over there that he wants fired from their late night appearances. Meanwhile, his enforcer appeared on Fox News and basically admitted the improper motive.
They're now facing the consequences of the choices that they made to appeal to a very, very narrow audience. Again, you can do that. You can start a podcast. You can go on YouTube. But if you're going to have a license from the FCC, we expect you to broadly serve the public interest. And I'm very glad to see that America's broadcasters are standing up to serve the interests of their community. We don't just have this progressive foie gras coming out from New York and Hollywood.
Number one, he's admitting they don't like that it's progressive. That's not what the government's supposed to do. You could substitute the word conservative, MAGA, or any other persuasion. The government is not supposed to, through the FCC or frankly any other part of the government, punish what he calls progressive foie gras. Okay, that's one. Two, legal fact check. The public interest standard is not something that he can just make up and lie about. There is a standard in the FCC rules and under the governing provision by Congress, if you want to get into it, Title 47, about what the public interest means. And it doesn't mean a sitting politician who doesn't like someone because they criticize him just throwing around the word public interest. As for the attack on television, well, we can all discuss how the media has been changing, but Jimmy Kimmel gets over 1.7 million TV viewers, roughly, and has broken out as one of the more popular late-night hosts online. So on YouTube, which is the top streamer, it gets more than Netflix, he's got a whopping 20 million subscribers. So he has a TV audience and a large streaming audience, and no one really takes it that seriously that Trump thinks that it's bad that he's criticized by Kimmel, but also that they believe Kimmel is irrelevant or the FCC wants to help ABC run its business better. The broader effort is Trump trying to distort what people see and hear in the free press. Companies settling sometimes thin or legally frivolous lawsuits rather than go at the administration. But as I just showed you, those efforts are met with more retribution. It was ABC that settled the Stephanopoulos lawsuit, but now they have the Kimmel thing. NBC, again, our sister company, now facing Trump calling to get rid of their late night host. But that's not his only demand. All of this can even chill how the government is covered by outlets that keep their position when you see this much pressure. Now, Trump's attorney general is facing backlash from the right for her First Amendment attack this week, while the FCC chief admits an anti-First Amendment agenda, a big government approach where they want the government, through Trump and his officials, to help run these companies in the way that they think serves them, not you, the public, not free and fair democracy, but just serves their partisan agenda. And they're saying, change your conduct, or these companies can have to do it the hard way.
Frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
Many experts calling that a shakedown. The companies face what could be the misuse of FCC power and its censorship demands when it comes time to approve or reject what could be multi-billion-dollar deals, some of which are alive right now. The FCC is supposed to look out for the public in those deals, monitoring whether, as I mentioned, there's local coverage or a monopoly. But the $6 billion deal that hangs in the balance is being linked quite clearly and in part of the pressure campaign of the FCC making these other demands. This week, the FCC chair provided what sounded like a roadmap if you want to do business with them. I mean, those are his words. After Kimmel's suspension went public, another ABC affiliate went further, saying Kimmel should be donating his own money to Charlie Kirk's conservative group, Turning Point USA. Now, that's an odd request. Kimmel may have his political views, but having members of the media pressured by the Trump administration to tell other members of the media, an independent comedian, artist, or even journalist, to go donate and fund a political group, this is really out there. Trump is also weighing in, saying networks who criticize him could face more government retribution over their licenses. Again, improper motive. This would be evidence against him in court. Quote, they give me only bad publicity, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. That is not how the license system works. If any network decides to fight and litigate this rather than give in, these are pieces of evidence against the government. And 2 years ago, the Supreme Court upheld these protected speech rights in what was then a unanimous decision that government officials cannot attempt to coerce private parties in order to punish or suppress views the government disfavors. Let me read that again, because this is from a case involving the NRA and a bunch of issues, and all the Trump appointees on the court. This is a preview, and if Disney or Bob Iger or anyone's watching, I'm sure your own lawyers could tell you this too. You have a very recent ruling with Trump justices saying they can't do what they're doing this week. Government officials cannot coerce private parties to punish or suppress views that the government disfavors. That would include, presumably, the foie gras progressivism that Brendan Carr admitted he is suppressing.